Hey YouTube, Carson Jacobson here with a new YouTube video. This one's going to be a little different than ones I've done before, but let's get right into it. So, the CW runs a television show called The Flash. It follows the young superhero as he is gifted with his powers and does a lot of really cool stuff. I really like the earlier seasons. Season 1 is pretty cool in particular. Season 1, about midway through, the Flash, otherwise known as Barry Allen, he travels back in time one day. Now, part of the plot of these two episodes is what it takes up, is he ends up making changes with the goal of improving his day. His mentor, Dr. Harrison Wells, who ends up actually being one of the central villains of the series, warns him that making changes will only lead to further calamities in the future, the very near future. And the whole point of these episodes is as Barry realizes, oh my gosh, this is right. This is so much worse than it was before. I'm here today to tell you that he was wrong. The changes that Barry Allen made to the timeline were a drastic improvement to the original. So, we're going to do this by breaking it down. Here I have this chart. You probably can't read it well, that's fine. I'm going to explain everything on it. On the left side, we have version 1 of the timeline. What I've done is I've taken every major character involved in this section, along with the city he's protecting. And I've basically told you their fate for that week, pretty much. On the right side here, we have the second version of the timeline after Barry goes back in time and makes his changes. So, in version 1 of the timeline, a villain known as Mark Mardon makes himself known, kidnaps Joe West, and lots of bad things happen. You'll have to check out the episode for a full breakdown, for basically to know what actually happens. I'm only giving you loose details here. So, let's just go person to person. Captain Singh of the Central City Precinct, paralyzed from the waist down. Detective Joe West, Barry Allen's foster dad, is injured. He has a broken leg, possible missing teeth. Basically, he's taking quite a beating, and he is as good as dead. Because Mark Mardon is about to kill him. Currently, he's summoning a tsunami to destroy the city. Barry Allen puts a stop to that with his time travel exploits. However, had he not traveled back in time, even if the tsunami didn't work, he would have killed Joe West. Central City, in version 1 of the timeline, is about to be either completely destroyed or partially destroyed along the beachfront. In the moments leading up to Barry's breach of the timeline, we see he's attempting to prevent the tsunami by running back and forth along the coastline to create a wind vortex to prevent the tsunami from colliding with the city. Now, obviously, this would sap the tsunami of a great deal of its energy. However, based on the animations of the television scene, it does not appear as though he would have entirely taken it down. It would have made it at least a couple hundred yards into shore. There would have been minor property damage. Nonetheless, the city's in peril. Barry Allen, he's about to lose a fight. Even if he manages to stop the tsunami, he's running faster than he's ever gone before. Anytime he sets a new speed record, he's always exhausted afterwards. He'd be in no condition to take on a villain like Mark Mardon. Mark Mardon controls the weather. One of his signature moves is summoning a giant piece of hail and chucking it at people with wind. Barry Allen would have lost that fight. And he's probably going to get beat up later by Eddie Thawne. So in this version of the timeline, Iris confesses a love for Barry Allen. It's possible that her fiancé, Eddie Thawne, would take his anger out on Barry for losing Iris. he actually does something similar in the second version of the timeline that leads me to believe he might get upset to that level. Iris loves Barry Allen. This is kind of the only positive side of the timeline, and I don't even think it's a positive. Iris is in a committed relationship with Eddie Thawne. She has no business complicating all of her dating life by deciding, oh, now she likes Barry, this guy who's had a crush on her for 20 years. That's really terrible timing. I would say it's not a good thing. It complicates things for Barry, Eddie, and Joe. Especially because Barry's also kind of in a relationship at the time. Yeah, I forgot to include his girlfriend on the board. That's fine. Eddie Thawne, his marriage is ruined. As I said, Iris confesses a love for Barry Allen, thus ruining Eddie's marriage with her. Cisco Ramon is dead, killed by Dr. Harrison Wells or the Reverse Flash. However, Dr. Harrison Wells is now 24 hours away from being exposed. He's abandoned Caitlin at a coffee shop, showing he's not actually paralyzed. He's murdered Cisco Ramon. Basically, everybody's about to find out he's the bad guy. The Rogues, Captain Cold and Mick Fury, they're planning a heist of a casino. Now, they never actually got the chance to pull it off because Barry cut off that timeline. But we have no evidence to show that they wouldn't have gone through with the heist anyway. So, no change there. Mason Bridge is currently writing a story to expose Dr. Harrison Wells as a bad man. Yep, so that's version 1 of the timeline. Here's much better version 2. Captain Singh is safe. Because Mark Mardon was apprehended by Barry Allen before he could wreak any havoc, the precinct is never attacked, Captain Singh is never struck by lightning, and he's safe. Joe West, never kidnapped by Mark Mardon, safe. The city, no longer under threat of tsunami, safe. Barry Allen, his identity is exposed to one person who agrees to stay silent about it. I think that's much better than taking a beating or two. Iris, still in a relationship with Eddie Thawne, completely stable relationship. Barry is under the impression that she has feelings for him. He asks her about it. She gets a little mad at him. But then Caitlin gives Barry the perfect excuse of lightning psychosis, and she's no longer mad at him. They're still friends. Seems good to me. Eddie, stable relationship, mad at Barry, and then not for the same reason as Iris. You know, he was mad at Barry for hitting on Iris again, but then lightning psychosis, full forgiveness, he's fine. Cisco Ramon, rather than being dead, he is kidnapped and then safely returned by Captain Cold. I see that as an improvement. Dr. Harrison Wells. Barry Allen is now in full belief that Dr. Wells is not who he says he is. He believes Harrison Wells is in fact a villain. Not yet convinced he's the Reverse Flash, but still on board there. So, minimal change here. Rogues, they carry out their heists. Obviously, they had more time. Then...
someone is at the front door.
Huh. Well, we'll have to end this video soon. I gotta get the door. And then Mason Bridge is dead. That is the only detriment to this alternative timeline. So, when you break it down, look at the individual elements, you can really see that the timeline is not worse. As a matter of fact, when Barry Allen goes back in time and changes the timeline again, it is much, much, much better, and he has no reason to be whining about how much worse it is, because everything is so much better. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel so you can see some of my Minecraft videos. They're cool.